Welcome to session 5, and this week we're going to recap fractions. So today's aims are to understand that fractions are equal parts of a whole, to learn the terms numerator and denominator and what they represent, to recognise and calculate equivalent fractions, to simplify fractions to their lowest form, to find a fraction of an amount. Each portion of a fraction is always the same size. As you can see here, there are 2 halves, 3 thirds and 4 quarters. This circle has been divided into 2 equal parts. Each part is called a half. This circle has been divided into 3 equal parts. Each part is called a third. This circle has been divided into 4 equal parts. Each part is called a quarter. We can shade a portion of a circle to name a specific part of the whole as shown below. The shaded portion is a half of the whole circle. The shaded portion is 2 thirds of the whole circle. The shaded portion is 1 quarter of the whole circle. Here's a definition. A fraction names part of a region or part of a group. The top number of a fraction is called its numerator, and the bottom part is its denominator. So a fraction is the number of shaded parts divided by the number of equal parts as shown below. So on a half, 1 is the numerator, 2 is the denominator. You have 1 shaded part and 2 parts altogether. Here you have 2 thirds. 2 parts are shaded, 3 is the total number of parts. And here you have 1 quarter. 1 part is shaded out of a total of 4 parts. Here's some questions. Question 1. What fraction is represented by the shaded rectangle below? So, how many parts do we have altogether, and how many are shaded? Answer: 3/5. 3 parts are shaded out of a total of 5. What fraction is represented by the shaded circle below? We have 5 parts shaded out of 8 parts in total. So the answer is 5/8. How would you write 7/8 as a fraction? Answer: 7/8. How would you write 5/6 as a fraction? Answer: 5/6. Easy. Let's move on to equivalent fractions. Each fraction here represents the same number. These fractions are called equivalent. So we have a half, 2 quarters, 3/6 and 4/8. All the circles are the same size. All the fraction parts are the same size within each circle. You can see that they take up, the shaded area is the same for each one. So the fractions a half, 2 quarters, 3/6 and 4/8 are equivalent because they are the same size. Here are some more examples of fractions that are equivalent. 2 out of 3 and 4 out of 6. So 2 thirds and 4/6 are the same size. 3 quarters, 6/8, 9/12. These are all the same size. But what happens if we don't have circles or rectangles to help us? We need a mathematical method to work them out. So, to find equivalent fractions, we must multiply by the numerator and the denominator by the same non-zero whole number. For example, are the fractions 2 thirds, 6/9 and 8/12 equivalent? Step 1. 2 thirds. How can we make them into 6/9? We must find the number that we can multiply both the numerator and the denominator by that is the same. So here, 2 times 3 equals 6, 3 times 3 equals 9, which is 6/9, 6/9. Step 2. Now let's have a look at making it into 8/12. So, what number do we need to multiply by? 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 4 is 12. 8/12, 8/12. So the answer is, yes, they are equivalent. And as we make equivalent fractions, we can also simplify fractions. And as we use multiplication to work out equivalent fractions, we then use division to simplify them. We need to do this because it's much easier to visualize half of something than to visualize 50 out of 100, for example. So, to simplify fractions, we must divide the numerator and the denominator by the same non-zero whole number. Example. What is the fraction 8/16 in its simplest form? Step 1. What do we need to do? Which is the highest number that we can divide both the numerator and the denominator by to reduce down the fraction? So here, 8 divided by 8 is 1. 16 divided by 8 is 2. So, 8/16 is equivalent to a half. And because the numerator is the number 1, it's a prime number. That means it cannot be divided down any further. So this is a fraction in its simplest form. And now let's move on to finding fractions of amounts. To find a fraction of an amount, we must divide the amount by the denominator and then multiply the answer by the numerator. Example. The advert says 1/3 off the marked price, which is £189. So what is 2/3 of £189? Step 1. 2/3. There's your numerator and your denominator. So 189 divided by 3 gives you £63. Step 2, we must now multiply that by the numerator. So 63 times 2 is £126. So the answer is 2/3 of 189 is £126. So, session objectives. Do you now understand that fractions are equal parts of a whole? Can you name the numerator and denominator and explain what they represent? Can you recognise and calculate equivalent fractions? Do you know how to simplify fractions to their lowest form? Can you find a fraction of an amount? Remember, if you still have questions or need help, please ask me in class or email me.